Hello to everyone. Minute Plus Meditation here. It is Tuesday, March the 19th. It is the Solemnity of St. Joseph. Today in the liturgy we pray the Gloria and the Creed as well. And it is it's not a day, that we are required to perform our Lenten penances. It's a solemnity. So really try to celebrate, and we're in a week where we're going to be celebrating, of course, the Solemnity of the Annunciation very soon. So today it is St. Joseph. For us Canadians, he's the principal patron saint of Canada, and he's also the patron of the Universal Church. So St. Joseph should have a very big place in our lives. It was Teresa of Avila who said that basically anything she ever asked of St. Joseph was heard and granted. And that takes, of course, learning to know how to ask for the right thing, right? So she had a very deep relationship with St. Joseph. First reading, there's two readings today, like a Sunday, taken from the second book of Samuel, chapter 7. The word of the Lord came to Nathan. Go and tell my servant David, when your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring after you, who shall come forth from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. Now, this is a tremendous promise made by God to David. We see this is going to be immediately fulfilled in Solomon, and what happens afterwards, although it will become blurred in history because Solomon basically gives himself over to sensuality. He spoils his children. Rehoboam, one of Solomon's sons, is the cause of of Judah, Israel being split, and is never reunited after that. Only in Jesus Christ will it be reunited, and of course, preceding Jesus is Saint Joseph. So Saint Joseph was given this profound task. This it's even doesn't really get at the reality of it, but this super important task of taking care of the Son of God, taking care of a Blessed Mother. So this promise, of course, is going to be fulfilled, but for many people, they're not going to see it, they're not going to feel it, they're going to think God has rejected Israel and so on. God never takes back his promises. Over to the second reading, Epistle to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, the promise that Abraham would inherit the world did not come to Abraham or to his descendants, through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. So for this reason, the promise depends on faith, in order that the promise may rest on grace and be guaranteed to all his descendants, not only to the adherents of the law, but also to those who share in the faith of Abraham. So St. Paul here is basically reasserting the primacy of grace and the righteousness of faith. So would inherit the world did not come to Abraham or to his descendants through the law, but through the righteousness of faith, which doesn't mean that the law has no place to play, but it's this whole profound argument that I'm not going to get into, and even if I did, I wouldn't thoroughly explain it anyways, between grace and nature, law and grace. This whole thing about the Protestants and the Catholics is like, Luther should have known better. But, so sometimes we, in our own personal struggles, we become blinded. And of course, the devil had a vested interest in blinding Luther. And Luther at some point, Luther should have known better, intellectually anyways. But we give ourselves over to our passions, and the devil is just, he's just kind of breathing on them and making them worse, like, embers turning into great flames. So Luther was deluded or blinded, and this whole thing about the supremacy of grace, and also the law had no value, which means works had no value, and that's just wrong. Period. It's wrong. So grace is superior, is the supremacy of grace, but grace working in love. So grace without works is dead. Even St. James will say that. These two things have to work together, always together. Okay, this time requires me to move on over to the Gospel of St. Matthew, and of course, you'd expect it is about St. Joseph. So Jacob was the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Christ. Now the birth of Jesus, the Christ, took place in this way. Okay, further down, her husband Joseph, being a righteous man and unwilling to expose her to public disgrace, planned to dismiss her quietly. So when he had decided to do this, the angel waited. Just when he had resolved to do this, then the angel of the Lord appeared. That's my word. Then the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. Joseph passes in spades. He has to go through this agonizing scenario of, what am I going to do? I can't acknowledge the child because it's not mine. But there's every indication that he did. In fact, he did not think that Mary had been a bad girl, but rather that he was in the presence of something holy, like Moses before the burning bush. So because it says, don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid. He wanted to back off because he was unworthy. So this is a whole serious, profound meditation for us. Joseph was called to be the spouse of Mary and the foster father. That's the closest word we have. He was legally the father, but we know he's not the blood father, the legal father of Jesus. And this profound task of taking care of him, preparing him, mentoring him as a young boy to a man, what we would call a teenager, and then a man. And then Joseph just disappears because his task is finished. So he fulfilled his task with perfection in a way. I think perfection is the right word. Always does the will of God. Always obeys the angel. Never puts it off. No procrastination. No complaining. No whining like you and me. Whine. His plans are upset. His plans needed to be changed. He always cooperates with grace. And he can't see it. This is on faith. There's so many examples of this. That's why we need St. Joseph in our life. And he's a man. He's the terror of demons. So I would suggest one takeaway. Every Wednesday, that's the day of St. Joseph. Every Wednesday, pray the litany of St. Joseph. Pray the litany of St. Joseph. And take your favorite line from the litany and meditate on it, like terror of demons, or protector of the Holy Church, or spouse of the Mother of God, chaste guardian of the Virgin, foster father of the Son of God, watchful defender of Christ, head of the Holy Family, and so on. Meditate on that on Wednesdays. So Wednesday is the day of St. Joseph, and resolve to pray the litany of St. Joseph every Wednesday, all the time. God bless you.